Hi, I am Jami Shapiro, and I am excited to be joined by Julie Derry. And we are starting a webinar series geared towards adult children and family members who are sandwiched in between caring for their families, running their businesses, running their lives, and aging families, siblings, parents, step parents who are aging and they don't know what resources are available. So, Julie, I would love for you to share. We are both certified senior advisors, and that is why we are uniquely qualified to bring all of the resources that you're going to need, because the likelihood is that you've never navigated this space before. So, I love to talk. Julie, what do you have to say?
Yeah, I would just add to that what it means to be a certified senior advisor. You and I do different things within the industry. So we both work in the senior industry, but we do very different things. And what the certified senior advisor does, it's an exam. It's a 3-hour exam. It is a very difficult exam. I have an MBA degree, and I can tell you the most difficult test I ever took was the CSA exam. And the reason why is when you think about being a certified senior advisor, there's so much to it. You help people transition from their home into assisted living. I help people find assisted living communities and memory care communities. But there's so much more to it than that. There's reverse mortgage, there's Medicare, there is Medi-Cal, there is aging in place specialists that help people to stay at home for as long as they possibly can. There's elder law. There is
There's
so much that goes into being a certified senior advisor that I think it's important for people to know what you and I have gone through to become a certified senior advisor. And what we realize as certified senior advisors is the need for a strong network. And so that's where you and I have started to work together and have worked together for 10 years now. And we've also built out our own networks that overlap quite a bit in terms of other people in the industry that we use that are all geared towards supporting older adults as they go through their aging journey.
Right, exactly. So we are culling together our experiences and our resources to help you navigate what you're going to face. And Julie is an adult child of a father who she's had to move into assisted living, and also caring for a special needs brother who you've had to take on guardianship and navigate that. And that is why we're not just calling it adult children, because again, we all have different relationships. I have parents that are in Florida, and I have different challenges as a parent, as a child that is far away. So we're really going to go, step by step and explore with you all of the things that exist, because to Julie's point, we had to read 6 books about aging so that we have a good general knowledge of all of the different nuances and what's out there. So we are excited. We're going to be starting the webinar series on the first Tuesday of the month at 7:30 p.m. And we decided to do that at 7:30 p.m. because we recognize you can't just step away from your day and come to a class. We want to build a community so that you can also hear from other people and their experiences. I think there's so much guilt and there's so much, I should be doing this. And caregiving is hard, and it may not be a role that you want or should take on. And you need an understanding of what is home care, what is home health, what does hospice do, what does palliative care do. We have so much to cover with you, and we're excited to start the series. Please tell your friends. It is geared towards the San Diego market, but you're certainly going to learn about resources that exist whether you're in San Diego or anywhere else.
That's great. And I think one thing to add to that is that you and I both support families from all over the country. So even if someone is listening to this and they're in New Jersey, you and I could support them, or they're in Denver, or they're in Seattle, because we're certified senior advisors, because we're both members of other organizations that have professionals doing the same type of work, we can easily connect you anywhere in the country.
Right. And I think it's fair to tell people what it is that we both do as we're coming into this
Yeah.
conversation. So, I am the founding fairy of Silver Linings Transitions. We are a senior move management and home organizing company and a part of a national organization, but a lot of people don't even know that the industry that we are in exists. And basically, we go into a person's home, especially seniors, but we don't discriminate based on age and we can help anybody. But a senior who's lived in their home for 40 or 50 years and they've gathered a lifetime of belongings, and now they are looking at, we used to say downsizing, but the right word is really right sizing. It's really right sizing lives. And you have to cull those belongings. And those are tough decisions. And then moving in and of itself is physically demanding, packing, unpacking. So that's where we come in. I usually carry my magic wand and I say that we make moves magical. And we really guide the family and the person who's moving every step of the way, creating a home for them, what they had before, and just trying to find their favorites and create a space that feels like it's an easy, smooth transition for them. So that's what we do as a senior move management and home organizing company. And we work hand in hand with Julie quite a bit. You want to explain what you do?
Sure. So the name of my company is Aging 123. And what we do is we help families find assisted living and memory care. Not specifically what we do, that's what we get paid to do. But I think more important than that is what we do is we listen to our families to find out what's going on and how to best support them. And I'll give you a specific example. A few months ago, I got a call from a woman, and I could just hear it in her voice that she was just frantic. She was completely overwhelmed. And she says to me, all I need is someone who can take my parents to the grocery store. That's all I need. I need someone who can take my parents to the grocery store. And I thought, okay, sure, I can absolutely support you in finding someone who can take your parents to the grocery store. But tell me what's going on. And so she shared with me that both of her parents have dementia, that they're unwilling to have anybody help them, that she's very concerned about their nutrition. She's concerned that they're driving. So there was like this whole world behind, I just need someone to take them to the grocery store. And so by taking the time to hear her story, we were able to support her in getting a more structure around her parents to keep them safe. So what I do is I help families find assisted living and memory care. But more importantly than that, I listen to what's going on and I make sure that they get the resources that they need at the time that they need them. If at some point in time they need to move into assisted living, great. Hopefully they'll remember me. If not, I've at least given them the resources that they need for now and to keep their loved ones safe in where they're at in their journey now.
Julie, I have a question. You mentioned assisted living and memory care. Will you also help people find senior living if they're maybe still living independently, but they're anticipating what's happening down the road and maybe they don't need assisted living yet, but it would be good to move them in. Like my mom lives in a community in Florida. During COVID, she moved in and it made me feel comfortable knowing that she was in a community, even though she's still living independently and driving, but anticipating what's coming.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. Thank you for bringing that up. So we'll definitely support older adults in finding independent living as well. In fact, that's where my dad lives in independent living. And certainly when you think about the wants and needs of an individual as they're aging, it's important that you remain socially connected. That's incredibly important. And we learned that through the pandemic. Nutrition is an important factor. House maintenance and housekeeping are important. And so transportation. And then you start getting into med management and activities of daily living. But when you think about those first four, the socialization, the nutrition, the housekeeping, all of those are things that can be supported in independent living. So for my dad, he lives completely independent, but his meals are prepared for him. His transportation is provided for him. Now he still drives, but if he didn't drive, it would be provided for him, and his housekeeping is provided for him. So they can live completely independent and have the support around them to do the things that have become either they don't want to do it anymore or it's too much for them to do.
Mm-hmm. I know people think that they're giving up their freedom when they move to independent living. And can you imagine not having to cook or clean and just go and do the activities you want to do?
Oh, I was just gonna say, so my dad was living up in Redding, which is a very rural part of California up north, and he would get up every morning and he'd drive to Starbucks. He's diabetic. He would get a cookie and an apple juice. He would go to the river and drive down the river and watch the chipmunks and the squirrels play. And while he was listening to his radio broadcast, and then he'd come home and he'd watch TV and be on his computer. And so his daily interaction was just the barista at Starbucks, right? And so moved him up here to independent living, and he goes to activities 5 days a week. I took him to the doctor recently, and I was about to schedule an appointment for a Friday because that worked well for my schedule. And he says, Fridays don't work well for me. That's music day. So we had to move his meeting to another day that worked better for his schedule. So he's very, very active, very involved, and it was life-changing for him to move into independent living.
And we do want to acknowledge that senior living isn't for every family, it isn't for every budget, but we are going to explore all of it in our navigating your family's aging journey. So join us. Our first Tuesday is May 6th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, in case you happen to be hearing this and you're not in San Diego. But join us. We can't wait to explore all of these topics with you, and tell your friends.